In the previous video, we have solved the solution for economic dispatch problem, neglecting losses and including generator limits. We've seen what is the procedure, how the particular problem will be solved. Now, in this particular session, we will solve a problem on economic dispatch problem when generator limits are included. Now this is the question. Now this question is slightly different than what question we had solved in the earlier video, because the data, whatever the data is given, they are the incremental cost. It means that for each unit, the data is given in this term. For each unit, DFI by DPGI, that is the incremental cost of each units are given. Okay, so there are n number of ways of solving a problem. One way is we can use this particular expression to solve this problem, and when you are using this expression to solve the problem, so one thing that you'll have to keep in mind is this 0.2 coefficient of P1 here, it is the value of 2CI. So if you are using this expression, you should not take 2 into 0.2, because 0.2 is already includes this multiplication of 2. So you don't have to include 2 into 0.2. So directly you have to take 25 divided by 0.2. Okay, that thing has to be kept in mind when we are taking this particular lambda expression. Clear? That is the only difference here. Rest all part will remain the same. There is one more way of solving this problem. The second method is using the incremental cost as it is given in the question. Now these are the incremental costs. We know that for an economic dispatch problem, when we are neglecting losses, the incremental cost of the generating units should be equal. That is the coordination equation. That is one of the condition. So we'll be equating the incremental costs. So when we equate the incremental cost, we get two equations. So I have taken first IC1 and IC2. I have equated those two equations. I have equated IC1 is equal to IC2. So when I simplify, I get this particular equation. This is in the form of AX plus BY plus CZ equal to D. I'll repeat, this equation is in the form of AX plus BY plus CZ is equal to C. Here the P3 value is, the coefficient of P3 is 0. Keep that in mind. Next, I'll be equating IC1 with IC3. I'll be equating this first equation and the third equation. So when I simplify it, I'll get this particular expression. Here in equation 2, the coefficient of P2 is 0. Okay, that you have to keep in mind. The third equation is P1 plus P2 plus P3 is equal to 100. See, here in the question itself, they have given the total load is 100 megawatt, which should be optimally allocated among the three units. So the sum of all these three values, P1 plus P2 plus P3 value, should be equal to 100. So this is one equation. So we have three variables, P1, P2 and P3, and we have three equations, that is linear equations. So when we solve these three linear equations, we get these values, P1, P2, P3. Now the next step is we need to check if any units are violating its limit. So first is P1, 39.19 megawatt. So we'll see here, this is, the limit is within the range of 20 to 100. So P1 is within its limit. Coming to P2, the P2 is 9.46 megawatt, but here you can see the lower limit is 30. So this value is less than 30 megawatt. So P2 is violating its limit. The next value is P3. So P3 is within its limit, because the lower limit is 30 and upper limit is 200, and you have got 51.35. So this is within its limit. So it is only P2 which is violating its limit here. And from this calculation, the whatever lambda value we have got, see, lambda value is nothing but the incremental cost. So if you substitute these values in any of these expressions, so whatever incremental cost value we get, that is the lambda value. Now this particular calculation is not needed, but I have just I have written this expression for more clarity, that's it, because this expression is nowhere used anywhere. Okay, now we can see that out of 3 units, unit 2 is violating its limit. Clear? So now we need to fix the generation of this particular unit 2. Now since this is less than its lower value, that is minimum value, I will fix P2 equal to P2 minimum, that is 30 megawatt. Okay, now I'll carry out this entire procedure again, but I'll exclude P2. Okay, so I'll find the economic scheduling of unit 1 and 3 excluding generation 2. So now the same equations will be taken, but this equation will not be considered. Okay, so we have IC1 and IC3. I'll equate these two. So then this is the expression I get. Now this is the original demand expression, that is P1 plus P2 plus P3 should be equal to 100, but we know the value of P3. P3 is fixed to 30, so I'll substitute 30 here, so I'll get P1 plus P3 is equal to 70. So in the second scenario, you can see that we have two unknowns, that is P1 and P3, and we have two equations. We have got two equations. So when you solve these two equations, we get P1, P3 values. So these are the values you get. Now we have to check what is the new lambda value. So the new lambda value is, you have to substitute these two values in these equations. So you will get new lambda value as 30.556. So you can see that now for the incremental cost of unit 2 is calculated, because for unit 2 we have fixed its value to its lower value. Here you can see we have fixed its value to its minimum generation. Now for this particular unit 2, we need to calculate the incremental cost. Now we'll substitute 30 in this particular expression. Then we can see that we get incremental cost of unit 2 as 39. Okay, I have in Kantakar conditions, as per the Kantakar conditions, if we are fixing any generation to its minimum value, then its incremental cost should be greater than the new lambda value. So that you can clearly see here, the incremental cost of unit 2 is greater than the new lambda value. So hence the Kantakar condition is being followed. Okay, and for those two units which are not violating its limit, for unit 1 and unit 3, the incremental cost will obviously remain same, because we have used this particular expression to get the values of P1 and P2. So these values by default it will remain same. Okay, now this particular question, this is one way of solving any problem. If you have expressions given in this form, if the question data is given in this form, you can directly calculate dFi by dPgi, and then by equating like this, you can calculate P1, P2, P3. So that is the second approach of solving the problem. Clear? The first approach is by using these expressions. I have not used these expressions. I have directly, by equating incremental cost, this particular problem has been done. So both the approaches will be same. So if the data is given in terms of incremental cost, the only one thing that you all need to keep in mind is this 0.2 will be equal to 2 into Ci. So that thing has to be kept in mind, and the corresponding calculation has to be done. Clear? Yes. Thank you.